I'm Amy Reardon, and I just want to say welcome to our info series, number 6. It's Biking 101. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and put your name and where you're joining us from in the chat box. And if there's any questions that you have as we go through the presentation, please also feel free to put that in the chat box as well. And we're going to get started. So I will say hello and goodbye visually.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bob McBride. I'm the chair of BikeNewark. I'll be talking with you today a little bit about biking to work. We're going to focus on biking to work today because it's our virtual Bike to Work 2020 day. And a little bit about my organization. BikeNewark exists to improve bicycling in Newark by working with partner organizations on 5 things: engineering, education, encouragement, enforcement, and evaluation for the overall benefit of people who bicycle in the city as a whole. So we focus mostly on Newark and work with the city and in the engineering and traffic departments, parks and recreations, and other organizations that promote bicycling in Newark. I'm going to sign out of the video right now and just talk to you. Okay, so what we want to do is, remember, this is National Bike Month. May of every year is National Bike Month. It was started by the League of American Bicyclists, which were founded way back in the 1880s to advocate for better roads. And this event was always timed to coincide with the warmer weather and bike rides and commuter challenges and ribbon cuttings and share the roads. But one of the most popular things that we do in Delaware is Bike to Work Day, and several different communities have organized this. Newark has had it, and Wilmington has had it. So we want to recognize Bike to Work Day as a day that we try to encourage people to bike to work and forsake their motor vehicles for just this one day. You can find out more about Bike Month and Bike to Work Day on the League of American Bicyclists website. Well, why do we bike to work? An example, we do it for the 3 E's, we say. An example for others in the community, energy and environment benefits, and economy for you, and well, other people in our society. Yeah, you can bike to work in downtown Wilmington or downtown Newark or downtown Georgetown, and people can see that you do it. So you're an example to everybody else in your community. One of our state senators, Harris McDowell, has talked about how much money the Delawareans can save without the need for multiple vehicles per household. So that if we use public transport and bicycles, we can all save quite a bit of money. And don't forget that you can increase the energy efficiency of everybody's commute by using public transit, and you can include your bike as part of public transit. Here's a perfect example: a bike on the rack of a DART bus. Well, when we think about what it takes to move us across the land, fuel is really amazing in terms of how efficient bicycles and riders are. They're much more efficient than even walkers or even people riding on a train. It's an incredible, incredible efficient use of the fuel that we need. In our case, food, and in the other cases, liquid fuels. And due to the rising cost of fuel and tire upkeep, it's owning a car might actually cost you nearly $9,000. But opposed to that, it's only about $300 to keep your bike in shape so that you can get from one place to the other very efficiently. So if many of us would just forsake one trip each week with a bike, we'd save $2 billion or 2 billion gallons of gas at $4 a gallon. That'd be $7.3 billion a year. That's amazing how much money that would save, not to mention the amount of environmental degradation it takes to get that gasoline out of the ground and into the air. Bike commuting is growing a bit by double digits, but it's very small in comparison to the 204 million personal vehicles. Growth in bike commuting isn't limited to Sunbelt states either, but includes even the colder states in the northeastern U.S. And businesses noticed that bikes are a good way to go. And a Business Insider has recognized that biking to work has the potential to improve health, wealth, and standard of living, but combination of fewer cyclists, fewer cars, and more cyclists could give the whole country a boost. We always try to look at bike commuting on bike to work days, but in bike-friendly communities, such as some of our bigger cities and Delaware, biking to work has been up as much as nearly 500% in the last 20 years. Philadelphia is increasing, but Pennsylvania is increasing even more. And look at Washington, D.C. It's almost up 500%. Since we only have a fixed amount of land in settled areas of the country, in our crowded Northeast especially, we need to make some choices about how it's used. Highways and parking consume much of our city space, but bikes need much less space. 10 bikes in each car parking space, you can see here in this illustration. Much of the commuting increase has come in the years since 2005, some of it more than 100% over past years computing. Here I focus on the Northeast states. And you can see there's a huge amount of increase in New York and Virginia, and not so much in Maryland and Delaware, but in Pennsylvania, but the increase is still rather dramatic. How do we keep the bicycle commuting numbers increasing for Delaware? Because more cyclists and fewer cars make cycling safer for everyone. Our most pressing safety question, how much longer will we be partially closed due to COVID-19? And the answer seems to be just a few more weeks. It'll change things. Will we be commuting the way we were before the COVID epidemic started? Hard to know, but it's important to think about it. So we talk a little bit about what your bike needs to be when you start commuting. So a safe bike is the first thing that you need for commuting. Okay, and this sort of humorous view of the bicycle, it has all the things that you need: lights, air in the tires, brakes, hands. It doesn't have one important thing, which is a helmet. Almost any bike will work, but you need to start with a safe bike, and this is how you need to think about starting your day. Safety equipment, helmet, bell, brakes, closed-in shoes, a lock, handlebars that are all tight, tires inflated, chain good, and then take a quick look at your bike using the ABCD method: air in the tires, brakes that make the wheels skid, a chain that's clean and straight, and finally drop your bike. I know that sounds odd, but that tells you when things are loose. By dropping the bike, you can tell when something is loose. Checking for loose parts is really important. If you're going to be using your bike regularly, it vibrates, things are going to get loose. So nuts, bolts, check those. Quick release levers on your wheels or seat posts, make sure those are tight. Hold your front brake to see if the headset's loose, and tighten anything that comes loose, ensure there's no rattling. Luckily, during the pandemic, our bike repair shops are considered essential businesses, so they're open. So use fellows at our bike shops to check your bike if you're not sure about what to do. Make sure you have what you'll need at work. There are many ways to carry things on bikes, from baskets to saddlebags. Okay, and all important is having emergency bike tools, especially ways to fix flat tires and carry them on your bike. You need to know how to use those tools and practice using them. All important is wearing your bike helmet. Helmets are very comfortable these days. They're not expensive, and they need to be done. You need to wear them the right way. Pay attention to the instructions and make sure the helmet fits. If you have an older helmet, you may want to think about replacing it. Newer helmets are much more comfortable, And anytime you have a crash, or about every 2 to 5 years, you ought to think about replacing your helmet. They do have a life. Need to wear a suit? Bike bags are available to carry suits and other clothes. You can actually do that. But it's important when you ride to be seen and be visible to others. So wear bright clothing day or night. There's plenty of that available if you look in the right places. Other equipment that's reflective, such as this a bike lock, which is a belt, are also very helpful in getting you seen. Okay, Delaware law requires lights on the front and back of your bike if you are going to ride after dark. And during the winter months, you're pretty much going to have to ride sometime in the dark, unless you can really flex your hours. So make sure that your lights work. A new wrinkle on the commuting market is electric e-bikes. They're a great new choice for commuters. These are several different varieties of bikes. The e-bikes have to meet special rules about how rapidly they can go under electric power. Most of them are limited to 25 miles an hour or less, and they can be anything from a very traditional bike to something that looks more like a delivery hauler. And there's even the best new idea in electric vehicles, something we haven't seen much in Delaware, this very high-tech e-bike trike that has solar cells that recharge the batteries on the roof. This is a real bicycle. It's 3 wheels, so that it's much more stable than a 2-wheeler, and you can ride it in pretty much any weather. There. Planning how you ride to work is important. The idea is you want to use routes that are comfortable for you and don't have a great deal of traffic. A bike route map from a bike route agency is the best. Here's one for Newcastle County, Delaware. It's a special bicycle map that they've published. And don't forget, you can add your bike to a transit mode. Some places you can put it on a rack on the front, like on this dark bus. Other times you can actually take your bike onto a bus or into a subway or train. They will actually allow you to just roll it right on, put it in a special place, and start or finish your commute by train or subway. Transportation centers such as the Newark train station, which is just being finished, often offer safe bike parking for commuters, so they're good places to begin or end your commute. The new train station is going to connect Maryland and Delaware and Pennsylvania by rail, and will also have a safe place to keep bikes. Wherever you park, you'll need to lock your bike up, so think about that. These are examples here in the picture of U-locks, U-shaped locks. They're typically made out of steel with a cylinder in the bottom. These are much more secure than traditional cable locks for bikes. There are other kinds that are available too. They have real. Can you say you have children to get to school or childcare? Can you do it? Well, yes, you can. This dilemma is not as insolvable as you might think. We're going to do a future webinar about bike commuting with children in September. Okay, finding a quiet route to work is often a matter of looking at a non-traditional way to get there. You can see the lines in blue on this map. They're a little windy, but they get to many places that you might need to go for work, and they go through many recreational spots and nice places to hang out when the weather is good. Sometimes they're not the most direct, but they'll get you there. One thing that you need to avoid, busy intersections if you can. So a lot of research about bike-car traffic indicates that these are a dangerous area for cars and bikes. And you can see that even though there are bike routes through this intersection illustrated, there are an awful lot of cars, and they're going an awful lot of different ways. So it's important to try to avoid this if you can. Locally identified bikeways are often good routes for bike commuting. Sometimes these are are low-stress bikeways. Sometimes there are other just surface streets, but these are suggested routes that have been chosen by cyclists or city traffic planning staff, and they're trying, as they do truck routes, they try to move bikes to special routes that are efficient but not dangerous for them. We're lucky in Delaware, we have some places that are marked as low-stress bike routes. Newark is developing a whole system of that all through town. BikeNewark has been working on that. We also have separated trails for bikes and pedestrians. And the Jack Markell Trail is the one that everybody should ride. And if you haven't been there, that's a great one. It goes from Wilmington to Newcastle on an old railroad roadbed that's been paved over to their multi-use pathway. Some groups like Delaware Greenways are working with DelDOT and the cities in Delaware to connect up trails good for cycling, so the trails just don't start and end like a one-way corridor. We're even connecting those trails up and down the East Coast in what's called the East Coast Greenway. Delaware Greenway is part of that East Coast Greenway movement. Government groups or planning agencies are developing bicycle transportation plans with routes, and you can check with them for route planning assistance. Please share your ideas with the Newcastle County Bicycle Plan and the other groups like that, especially if you're a commuter, because they often need more information about what to do. Important tips: safe commuting, bright clothing, as we've said. Eye protection is important too. Use the bike lane when you can. Please don't wear headphones ever on the road. You need to hear. And make sure you lock your bike properly when you get there so that you don't put it on somebody's front gate or around a tree, which might get damaged. There's a whole lot of new ways to lock your bike. We have some new things just like this illustration on Main Street in Newark, which is just about finished and will be open for business next week probably. So please lock your bike where it needs to go. Okay, when you're on the roads, in the eye of the law, you're considered a vehicle, so you need to behave like one. Cyclists have some rights and the same responsibilities as vehicles on most roads, in most countries. Some places there are specific rules. With those rights come responsibilities. You got to obey the traffic laws. You got to stop at junctions and traffic lights and use lights when you're required, and behave as you expect others to behave on the road. It's not only your safety here at stake, but you have to set an example for other people. Please use hand signals if you're out on the road. You may remember those from the Delaware Driver's Manual. They're something that we still do use. They're very good because they help us to tell everybody, other drivers, other cyclists, what we're about to do. Notice there are two different ways to make right turn signals. That's something that's new from the last few years. But all important too is the stop signal, so people know that you're about to slow down or stop, so that they don't try to run you over from behind. Anything you can do to promote harmony on the road is really a step in the right direction. Remember, keep checking your bike. Go through that A, B, C, D safety check and use your safety equipment every time you go out. Your bike and the Delaware Driver's Manual actually has some information that you should review. It's online, so there's no reason not to go back and take a look at it. And follow all those rules in the manual. So ride on, please, into the sunset safely and doing it as well as you can. If you have further questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them. If you have the time, you can make bike commuting better for everybody in the state by working with one of these organizations, with Rideshare Delaware, with BikeNewark, with Bike Delaware, Bike Wilmington. If you can join the transportation advocacy group and give your ideas and share in projects, so much the better for all of us. Okay, we've been happy to have a chance to talk at you this morning about what bicycle commuting is and celebrate the Bike to Work Day. We'll be happy to answer any questions you can. Just contact us through the BikeNewark website at www.bikenewark.org. And we also have a Facebook page that refers to that.
And Bob, I just want to say a quick thank you for presenting all this great information. I know I've learned a few new things just by hearing the presentation and the quick bike tips. So again, please, everyone on the call, go visit BikeNewark. Go check out their site and learn something new and dust off your bikes and get on them. It's beautiful weather that we're having, so it's a great time to get out there and ride. And I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen to see if we have any questions, any comments at all in the chat box right now. Something you want to ask Bob, or just any comments about, have you been biking lately?
And Amy, yes, it's Kathleen here. And thanks again, Bob. That was a great presentation. And we do have a few questions. One is from one of our attendees, and they're asking if there's anything in writing about some of the potential Newark-Wilmington bikeways.
As far as I know, we have no written plans for that. It's part of the planning that's going on in the county bicycle plan, the Newcastle County bicycle plan that Will Mapco is helping with. There's a new connection being planned through Newport that'll get people a little closer to Newark on a bike route. That's in the initial discussion stages at this point. There's nothing further than that that I am aware of. We are planning some work on connecting Newark to Lums Pond State Park and the C&D Canal Trail through an off-road bike path. The right-of-way almost completely exists for that on county-owned and publicly owned land, and we've been working with the state and the county to plan that. So that's looking like it's going to happen in pretty near future. There's not a lot needs to be done with that.
Okay.
But
that's great. And I did know that we have one of our attendees on the line who is from Will Mapco, Heather Dunnigan, and she has left the website and the information in the chat box. So I will include that in our follow-up email to all the attendees. And I did see someone wanted to get a copy of the presentation, so we'll be sure to include that in the follow-up memo as well. And they're the only questions, Amy, that we had so far.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Kathleen, for that. And thank you, Bob, for answering. And as always, we're going to start to wrap up our webinar, but just a reminder, with Rideshare Delaware, when you are registered for our free program, it's a free commuter program through DART First State, we do have Rideshare rewards. So you can record your clean commutes, which range from carpooling, vanpooling, taking the bus, biking, great time to get out there and bike, walk, to even telecommute. I know a lot of us are working from home right now, or if you're working a compressed work week, please, if you are doing those, go ahead and record those in your profile. You do get 200 points per day, and then you can use those points to redeem for some great rewards that we do have. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us on how to go about doing that. We do have how-to videos on our website as well that could direct you how to join, how to complete your profile, and how to record those clean commutes to redeem those rewards. Couple things that are going on currently with Rideshare Delaware. We are holding a Why Do You Ride contest. So all you have to do is submit your reason for riding. You can either email us at our general email, which will also be in the follow-up email, or you could go onto our social media, such as Facebook, post your reason there as why, and we will pick one winner, and they will receive a Rideshare Delaware prize pack. We also have another Caring Commutes, which is when we reach 3,000 recorded telecommutes, we will be donating $1,000 to the Food Bank of Delaware. So this is a great cause. So if you are working from home, make sure you're recording those work from home trips so you can contribute to reaching this goal. And all of these, again, will be included in your follow-up email. I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank Bob and BikeNewark for presenting some wonderful information. And Kathleen, thank you for your assistance. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Rideshare Delaware is here to help with your commutes to work, whether it be working from home, taking your bike in, or any other clean commute mode. So again, thank you. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. Enjoy your day.